What if I told you the woman who built an entire TV empire on lies manipulation and reality show theatrics just got annihilated by a few text messages? Yep, sit down for this, because Chris Webber didn't just show up to court looking for justice. He showed up with receipts, real ones, screenshots, voice memos, bank transfers, all laced with Jackie Christie's name, voice and scandals, soaked fingerprints, and guess what? These weren't just "I miss you" texts. These were "hide the money. Doug can't find out and wait for it. Tell Chantel she was an accident. Levels of dark. Yeah, you heard that right. In a packed courtroom, Chris Webber exposed every inch of Jackie's double life, from fake charities and secret hotel stays to messages hinting at a second abortion. Jackie allegedly hid from Doug during her affair with Chris. The jury gasped. Doug nearly fainted. Jackie shaking, silent and completely exposed. So how did we get here? How did Chris get those texts? And what else is Jackie hiding behind her surgically curated facade? Oh, trust me, the rabbit hole goes way deeper. Let's dig in. What started as a routine day in court turned into a complete media meltdown because Chris Webber didn't just testify, he detonated. Imagine the sound of every jaw in the room hitting the floor at the same time, because the second he pulled out those texts, it was game over for Jackie Christie. We're talking about messages so wild, so damning that even the court reporter had to stop typing for a second just to whisper what the actual. But before we go full blast into this, let's back up, because this whole thing, it was never just about the courtroom. This was decades of lies, lust, and loyalty exploding in front of flashing cameras, a trembling judge and a daughter stuck in the middle. Chris Webber walked into that courtroom with nothing but a slim black folder by the time he left. Jackie's image was scorched. Doug was begging his lawyer for mercy. And Chantel rumored to have left the courthouse in tears, refusing to speak to either of them. So what was in those texts? Who sent what, and why did Chris feel the need to make them public? Now let's peel this all back. Boss, Part 1. Incoming full 1,200-word blast, starting now 3 weeks ago. No one could have predicted that Chris Webber, cool, collected, always behind the scenes, would be the one to light the courtroom on fire. But on the morning of the hearing, when he stepped inside, holding that slim black folder and wearing a deadpan expression, even the security guard watching the door looked uncomfortable. Now picture this: Jackie Christie sitting in the front row, head held high, like she wasn't seconds away from being emotionally decapitated. Doug Christie, looking drained, pale and barely blinking, and Chantel, she wasn't even in the room, allegedly told by her therapist to avoid high-trigger environments. This wasn't just a sentencing hearing for Doug. This was karma delivering VIP front row tickets to a truth that had been hiding in plain sight for far too long. And then it began. The judge calls Webber to the stand. The room stiffens. Jackie fidgets. Doug stares. Cameras blink to life. And Chris, he clears his throat, sets down the folder and drops the first bomb. Like it's just another Tuesday, Your Honor. He begins. I've been silent for years, but since the world's already halfway inside this mess, I think it's time they see the rest. Then he opens the folder. Text messages printed out, highlighted, annotated, time-stamped, and not just any texts. These were between Jackie and Chris during what she once described publicly as a very confusing tri-criminal. The first message Chris read aloud at 2:14 a. Note from Jackie: Doug thinks I'm at my sister's. I miss the way you see me. I feel alive when I'm with you. Boom! The court goes silent. The air goes thick. Doug's mouth drops open like he'd just been tasered. Jackie stares ahead, refusing to blink, and the audience, pure shock journalists, frantically texting their editors, bloggers scrambling to go live, and even the stenographer side-eyes the judge. Like, do I have to type this? But Chris isn't done. He flips to another message, dated just 6 months ago. I watch Chantel sometimes and wonder what could have been if we hadn't let fear run us. I still keep that photo from Maui. Doug turns to Jackie, his eyes full of rage, disbelief, heartbreak all at once. You see, this wasn't just about a fling from the early 2000s. This was about ongoing deception. This was about Jackie actively playing both sides while publicly pretending to be the poster wife of loyalty and love. And the real kicker: Chris says there's more. A lot more. Some messages were allegedly deleted by Jackie, but recovered through his backup messages that not only confirm their continued emotional and possibly physical affair, but suggests Jackie used Doug's finances and reputation to shield her true intentions. This woman had two lives. Chris tells the court, one in public with Doug, one in private with me. And when she told me to play nice, I did. But after what I've seen in these past few weeks, I'm due. Meanwhile, in the courthouse hallway, Doug finally cracks. He slams his hand against the wall and reportedly shouts, "He betrayed me, my own brother," before storming past security and disappearing into the back conference room. Reporters swarm, microphones are shoved in faces. One journalist from Shade Room tries to confirm whether Doug and Chris were ever close behind the scenes. Another claims there's more footage, security camera footage, from a Sacramento hotel in 2021 that allegedly shows Jackie and Chris in a heated exchange. And just like that, this isn't just a scandal, it's a full-on media massacre, because now people aren't just asking what happened between Jackie and Chris, they're asking how long has she been faking it? What did Doug know and when? And is Chantel even speaking to her parents? The floodgates are open and the water, it's toxic. And as this chaotic mess spills into the next phase of the trial, all eyes are on the next witnesses. Rumor has it, Doug himself may take the stand. And what he's planning to say could either redeem him or destroy Jackie's last shred of credibility forever. But if anyone thought that courtroom outburst was the end of it, think again, because Chris Webber wasn't just holding on to one receipt. He came fully loaded after the judge regained order, and Doug was removed from the courtroom still yelling, "You lied to me, Jackie." Chris calmly adjusted his tie and turned back to the stand, like nothing had happened, but then he pulled out his phone. "Your Honor," he said, deadpan with the court's permission, "I'd like to read a few text messages out loud." You could literally hear gasps from the gallery. Jackie's legal team whispered frantically. Her face went pale, her hands trembling in her lap. But Chris Webber, he was calm, deadly calm. And then he started reading July 8th, 2016. Jackie to Chris, "I wish I could tell Doug the truth, but he'd never recover. You're the only one who ever made me feel safe." The courtroom froze August 12th, 2017. Jackie to Chris, "He's so distracted with coaching, he doesn't even notice when I sneak out. You always knew how to listen." One juror audibly whispered, "Oh my God." And Chris didn't stop there. He kept reading message after message, year after year, a digital trail of betrayal, manipulation, and a woman who had clearly built an entire second life behind Doug's back. But here's the worst part. The messages weren't just emotional. Some of them were logistical coordinated. We'll say it was a charity trip. He won't ask questions if I bring Chantel. You're not just her father by blood, you've always been there more than Doug at this point. Jackie's entire face collapsed into her hands. Chantel, who had been hiding in the hallway, was reportedly heard crying uncontrollably. A court clerk walked over to Jackie with a box of tissues. Meanwhile, Twitter exploded. Shard Jackie Christie trended globally within 14 minutes. But that wasn't the end. Nope, because then came the big one. Chris scrolled slowly and said, "This one's from just last year, March 18th. Jackie to me, Doug is broke, and I'm tired of pretending you and I built Chantel's future, not him. You should have been the one on the red carpets, y'all." That courtroom fell into pure silence. You could practically hear Jackie's reputation shatter into microscopic pieces. Even the judge looked stunned. One courtroom reporter tweeted, "I've covered 9 murder trials. Nothing compares to what I just witnessed." And then came the aftershock, because Jackie didn't speak. She didn't scream or deny. She just whispered something no one caught at first, but Lepriers Online claimed she said he wasn't supposed to keep those. Let that sink in. Not they're fake. Not he's lying. Just, he wasn't supposed to keep those. Chris Webber stepped down from the stand, walked past Jackie, and didn't even glance in her direction. The bailiffs escorted him out the side door, but not before paparazzi caught a photo of him smirking in the hallway. Meanwhile, outside the courthouse, chaos erupted. Protesters gathered holding signs saying "Justice for Doug" and exposed the web of lies. Chantel, now the reluctant center of it all, posted a black square on Instagram with no caption, which only fueled speculation that she's fully done with her mother. But wait, it gets worse, because back inside the courtroom, Jackie's lawyer attempted to object to the admissibility of the messages, but the judge shut that down fast. "This court has a duty to truth," she said, "and if these messages are real, the implications go far beyond family drama." Boom, now we're talking perjury, fraud, identity manipulation. Some legal experts even suggested that Jackie may have violated marital financial disclosure laws by misleading Doug during property filings related to her LLCs. And remember, those LLCs are already under scrutiny for charity fraud. So let's stack the chaos. Doug Christie is in a holding cell with a potential 5-year sentence for aggravated assault. Chris Webber just handed the court a digital timeline of an emotional affair that overlaps with Chantel's entire life.